What is going on, guys? JNC here for JNC Rewind is number 18, and for this rewind, we're going to be doing WrestleMania 23. Of course, for JNC Radio, we're going to be doing a big WrestleMania week. WrestleMania, of course, will be this Saturday and Sunday. It'll be a two-night event. Of course, it's not going to be under the usual circumstances, as always. It's not going to be in front of 70, 80,000 people in the stadium, which we had all hoped. They're going to be doing it from the Performance Center. It's already pre-recorded. We'll see how it goes. Hoping for the best, but...
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But unfortunately, I think the problem is I'm getting the feeling that just people are just not into this. I mean, I'm not to state the obvious, but what I mean is even the rating, for this past Monday night on Raw, I mean, you just, if you saw that number, you could just... I mean, for a go-home show, I mean, granted, we're under different circumstances and whatnot. Yeah, it was just very underwhelming. So you could tell the interest is just not there. I think a lot of people are just, turned away because usually that rating would be much higher. And on top of that, I mean, it's not like there's a lot of other things for people to do. So, I mean, that's on air, and they're still choosing, not to watch it, basically. So that says something, I think. But nonetheless, that'll be Saturday and Sunday. But for us, JNC Radio, Thursday, we had WrestleMania 21, which I covered in full detail. For this show, we have WrestleMania 23 with Joe and I, and then we're going to be the two of us for tomorrow's show. That'll be WrestleMania 24.
And then we're kind of in a little pickle in 36.
Yeah. Just a little bit, but there will be review and recaps for that done nonetheless. But so yeah, there will be the review and recaps as usual. We'll have that out there regardless. It might be done a little bit differently than usual, but we'll, either way, we'll have that out there. But getting it. Oh, sorry.
But not about 36 tonight. It's about 23.
Mm-hmm.
So without further ado,
yeah, let's hop on into it. Of course, tonight, as in we're doing this at a different time than when you guys hear it. But one other thing I want to point out, I guess, one last final thing is when I went to upload the Thursday show for WrestleMania 21, it just kept crashing on me. I wasn't able to do it. So I was able to upload it, obviously, but it was up there a little bit earlier than I was planning on. 1 o'clock was supposed to be the time to get uploaded, but it ended up going up a little bit before that, probably 20, 25 minutes before. So this show is supposed to be up at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if it's not, well, at least hopefully it's up before that, because I'd hate to, delay it and have it up there later, so... I feel bad for that, so just going to put that out there now. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. So, I just said that now, but we'll just have to wait and see there. And then 24, that's supposed to be Saturday, but it's going to be at 1 o'clock p.m. So I wanted to at least make sure that I gave everyone, some time before Mania 36 would go on. So, because obviously when that begins, I don't want anyone listening to this instead of watching Mania, because I just... So the goal for that day is to have it up by 1, and then the part 1 and part 2, night 1 and night 2 for WrestleMania 36. Those will be up at the usual time slots on both Sunday morning and Monday a.m. Of course, Sunday it'll be 10 a.m. Eastern time. Then Monday will be at 11 a.m. Eastern time, just like the usual. So that'll be the end of our 5-day stretch of content. Of course, we have been gone for quite some time, so I'm just trying to get out as much stuff as possible. So
yeah, we're just trying to make up for lost time.
But I think we're gonna do fine here. Getting into the show finally. WrestleMania 23, all grown up. I used to love those ads where it'd have the kids dress up and portray these different wrestlers from when they were young, and then they'd show them as grown-ups. I don't know why. I just thought that stuff was cool.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely a cool aspect, and probably I would be amazed. I'd be shocked, like amazed if I was a kid, knowing that you got to portray one of your favorite wrestlers or just a famous wrestler to begin with.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's a life changing thing, man. They can look back on it, no matter how old they are.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, see that kid there? That was me.
Of course, April 1st, 2007 would mark 13 years since WrestleMania 23. That would be Wednesday that would mark that date. So, we're pretty up to date on that. I also would, with it being Mania season, figured it'd be best to get this out there now before it's too late and beyond the season, or I just want to feel significant or a relevant thing to talk about.
Yes, sir.
WrestleMania 23 for me, though, I definitely thought it was a very good one. It may not be top 5 greatest ever, or up there amongst some like the greatest. But although for me, it's still like a very good one, and I could maybe put it like top 10. Probably towards like the bottom, but I could put it as a top 10 Mania.
It was definitely one of my favorites because back then that was my first ever pay-per-view I've ever ordered.
Yeah, and it was the first WrestleMania that I even ever saw. So yeah, of course we sound super young saying that, but what can we say from that generation?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it'll always have a special place in my heart due to the fact that it was the first one I ever saw. But I got into it like real young, so I had some exposure a couple years before this, but it didn't really all click for me. Yeah, it just would take me probably to like around here. That's when I started getting super into it.
Yeah, like it took me. I watched wrestling at a super young age. I was 4 years in before I was able to watch my first pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just watching Raw and SmackDown when I could, and going on WWE.com all the time. That was basically what like got me into it, like completely.
Yeah.
All right, so for this Mania, for the first time ever, it would be a tri-branded event featuring talent from each Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. This would be ECW's first time being a part of Mania, as of course this would be WWE's version of ECW that rebooted in June of 2006 and not the original Extreme Championship Wrestling. But nonetheless, before this year, during the Ruthless Aggression era at least, WrestleMania had only featured Raw and SmackDown, making this one kind of an historic event in that sense, I guess you could say. During this time, there were 3 main feuds going on, which would ultimately help shape the event, I'd say. One, of course, being the Undertaker and Batista World Heavyweight Championship program on SmackDown, the WWE title program with John Cena and Shawn Michaels, and also the Battle of the Billionaires deal with Vince McMahon and Donald Trump, which featured ECW World Champion Bobby Lashley and the Intercontinental Champion Umaga at the time. Undertaker and Batista is one of my all-time favorite childhood feuds that I still love watching, going back and watching to this day. For me, without a doubt, the best rivalry of 07, hands down. John Cena and Shawn Michaels would be the main event of the show, which for some at the time may have been a bit of a surprise, seeing that Undertaker and Batista probably had the bigger build-up. Not to say, Undertaker was the 2007 Royal Rumble match winner, which they go against this a lot, but, it's supposed to mean you get the main event of Mania.
Yeah, it was a fourth match in.
Yeah, 4th match in, yeah. It felt kind of early, but now that I go back and watch it, I'm just, like, used to it. But yeah, at the time, like, I thought about it years ago. I was like, wow, they really did put them on awfully early.
Yeah. That's when people complain that Roman Reigns gets all these main events. John Cena is first.
I guess so, yeah. But then we had the Battle of the Billionaires with Vince and Donald Trump. From an outsider's perspective, and by that I mean someone who wasn't a WWE fan or a fan of wrestling in general, that match where the loser would have to have their head shaved bald, for that group of people, that would probably be definitely the main attraction.
Oh, yeah.
Then, of course, you have the third ever Money in the Bank ladder match, which by this point had become one of the main attractions for sure. I I still think that to this day, WrestleMania misses the Money in the Bank ladder match, or at least some kind of ladder match in general.
Oh, yeah. I completely.
I think that when someone would just win Money in the Bank back in the day, you know, they'd climb the ladder, grab the briefcase. It also would create a moment in itself that can't be done on just a normal pay-per-view like it is nowadays. Sure, it's still fun and all and everything, but to me, it just felt like more special when like it was the biggest show of the year and it was WrestleMania when you won it. So in front of all those people in that huge crowd, I just felt like it was more special.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. It was definitely more special.
So that would be a little introduction into this. Of course, this was WrestleMania 23. This is World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, biggest show of the year. April 1st, 2007 was the date. From Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. The respective brands taking part in the show would be Raw, ECW, and SmackDown, as I pointed out earlier. The commentators would be Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler for Raw, Joey Styles and Taz for ECW, and then Michael Cole and JBL for SmackDown. This would be the only time that Michael Cole and JBL would actually call a Mania together.
Yep.
The recorded attendance figure was 80,103. The buy rate was 1,188,000, which is up from WrestleMania 22's 930,000 buy rate. So a huge increase, well over 200,000.
I definitely think because WrestleMania 22 was in an arena, not a stadium.
Well, no, that was the buy rate, not the attendance figure.
Oh, yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but I know.
But the theme songs would be "Ladies and Gentlemen" by Saliva and "The Memory Will Never Die" by Default. So before the show would air, there would be a tag team match. Not going to really talk about this, but there was a tag team match with Ric Flair and Carlito versus Gregory Helms and Chavo Guerrero.
A weird tag team.
Yeah, weird match. Well, Carlito and Ric Flair did actually team for a little bit that I could remember, but
apparently that was Ric Flair's protege. They called him.
Yeah, which. Whatever, I guess. I do find it kind of weird how Ric Flair was in the dark match of the show, which, I feel like for him that's very insignificant, but there wasn't really any spot for him on the show, to be honest, and I figured that they would at least want him to go out there and have like a little moment with the crowd or whatnot beforehand, so I don't know. We'd open with Aretha Franklin singing a rendition of America the Beautiful. She had done the same at WrestleMania 3 20 years prior, which would, kind of be a theme for the show in a way. Because at WrestleMania 3 20 years ago, the event was also held in Detroit. Of course, it was in the Pontiac Silverdome, not Ford Field, because Ford Field hadn't been built yet. But throughout the night, you'd see certain points where there would be some moments recreated in tribute, I guess you could say, paying homage to it.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. Then we'd have the opening video package, great stuff, followed by the opening pyro and be greeted by the announcers teams. Of all the opening pyros I've seen for WrestleMania, this has got to be up there amongst like the very best. It was just great.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, they shot that stuff up so high in the air too. I mean, granted, in as an indoor stadium too, so that makes it even more. It makes it look even more cool, I guess. Outdoor stadiums, you can just the sky, you just shoot up as high as you want. Like,
hey, Ford Field is one of the best NFL stadiums in the league. So,
yeah, I definitely would have liked to have been at this event in person. First, we'd have the Money in the Bank ladder match. It would be Jeff Hardy versus King Booker. Booker would have Queen Sharmell in his corner versus Finlay versus Mr. Kennedy versus CM Punk versus Randy Orton, Matt Hardy, and Edge. So this is my favorite Money in the Bank match of all time. Not saying, it's the best ever, but, I'm just going to put that out there. For the first time, the Money in the Bank match would feature as many as 8 different competitors. The previous 2 they had done at 21 and 22 only had 6. So there'd be a lot of star power involved here. Maybe even the most star-studded Money in the Bank match perhaps ever.
Yeah. The names that are on there.
A lot of Hall of Fame